Today is my last day here in my house.
Americans are leaving this country in record numbers.
Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival.
I moved out of the US 5 months ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made.
So Americans don't want to live in America anymore.
I don't know why no one's talking about this, but there is a mass exodus of US citizens from the United States.
So Americans, rich and poor, are packing their bags and leaving the United States of America.
Something shocking is happening in silence, something the media barely talks about. But if you look closely, you'll notice a pattern that's impossible to ignore. Every month, thousands of Americans are selling their homes, quitting their jobs, packing their bags, and leaving the United States completely not for a vacation. Not for a short break, but permanently. These aren't just wealthy retirees, it's young people who feel priced out of their own future. Families who can't afford daycare and groceries at the same time. Middle-class workers who realize they're working harder than ever, but somehow falling further behind. For some, the dream of owning a home has become a joke. For others, healthcare bills or rent increases were the final push. And for millions, the idea of the American dream feels like a story that no longer matches reality. People aren't giving up on life. They're giving up on a system that no longer works for them. Before we jump into the full breakdown, a quick reminder, we're getting very close to 2,000 subscribers, and every one of you genuinely motivates us to keep investigating topics like this. So if you find value in this video, hit subscribe. It really helps. And trust me, watch till the end because the biggest reason people are fleeing isn't inflation, isn't politics, and isn't crime. It's something deeper, something no politician wants to admit.
Americans are leaving this country in record numbers. And I'm not talking about vacation. I'm talking packing their bags, booking their flights, and leaving for good. In the first few months of 2025 alone, the amount of people that just said, "I'm done," and moved abroad doubled from the year before. That's not just a blip, okay? That's a wave. So why? Same reasons you and I complain about every day. Cost of living going through the roof, political chaos that never seems to end, and the fear of safety even when you're just going to the grocery store. But here's the thing, it's not just dreamers or millionaires doing it. It's normal people. It's people with families. It's young people, old people, retirees, people who are working remote. One common thread holding all of these people together is they just want a dignified life. That's why you're seeing places like Greece, Spain, France, Portugal. Their cafes are filling up with Americans who are just done. People love to scream, "If you don't like it, leave." Well, we are thousands and thousands of us. We will be joining that wave soon. If you're curious about moving abroad, stick around, because we're about to embark on this journey ourselves, and we can't wait. At the end of the day, people like us just want to make life work. And if we think that we can do that better outside of this country, then who's to say we can't?
Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation. Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, U.S. passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long-term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only 2 genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the U.S. spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues. Immigrations, taxes. Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
My husband and I were sitting on the porch this morning and we were just discussing the culture in the United States and how there's always this undercurrent of like violence and hostility, and it's everywhere all the time, and you feel very vulnerable to it. And sometimes you don't really even know you're feeling it, but it's there. And I asked him, when you go to a movie theater, do you assess who's in the room and who might be a threat and who might be hiding something in their coat, and like what you would do if they just like stood up and started shooting? Like, how are you going to get out of the room? How are you going to keep our boys safe? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, I do too. We never talked about that openly. And we both agreed, like, we do it all the time. We're at the grocery store, at a concert, at church, at our kids' school. What if who among these people is a threat? And what would we do if they stood up and started to do something? How would we get out of here? How would we protect our kids and ourselves? That is always in our minds. And I don't think we realize the mental toll and the physical toll that takes on us to always be doing those mental calculations. And then not only that, but the culture in the US is such that you're always feeling like someone is trying to get one over on you or like use you somehow. There's always this sense of like you're competing, you're not helping each other, you're not supporting each other, you're competing with each other. And that person he's your enemy. He's your neighbor, but he's also your enemy. Like you try to make sure that he doesn't mow on your side of the lawn too much, because that's yours. That's your property. He's trying to take it from you. There's this sense of like, it's real like selfishness and self-centeredness, and gotta get mine and keep mine and not let anyone else take mine. And I'm really looking forward not to feel that all the time. I don't think we realize that we're feeling it. We're not conscious of it all the time, but I really want to not feel it, you know? And I want to raise my sons not to think that way or have those sort of feelings or have to do those calculations in their head about like, how am I going to get out of this without getting shot? That's what I want. So that's why I am taking my two sons, who are 7 and 9, and my husband and myself to the other side of the world to get away from this place.
For generations, America was the country people moved to, not the country people ran from. It was the land of opportunity, the place where hard work supposedly guaranteed a better life. But today, millions say that dream has completely fallen apart. The promise was simple: work hard, build a life, get ahead. But what people feel now is very different. Work nonstop, barely survive, fall behind anyway. Wages haven't kept up with inflation. Every month feels like a financial battle, and the idea of saving up for the future sounds unrealistic when people are struggling to pay for the present. The American dream didn't die overnight. It eroded slowly, one rent increase at a time, one grocery bill at a time, one medical emergency at a time. People aren't leaving because they hate America. They're leaving because America feels like it's slowly pushing them out, making them feel like outsiders in their own country. This is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The American dream isn't broken, it's just no longer designed for the average American.
This is not a political post, but you know how people are always saying if you don't like it, then you can leave? Well, people are, and in rapidly increasing numbers. As you can see, this article reports that there's been a 102% increase in people who have elected for the expat lifestyle, meaning people who are leaving America to go reside in different countries. And the article goes on to cite a few key reasons for this. The main elements being socioeconomic factors that make it difficult and more expensive to live on a daily basis, gun violence and the lack of action to reduce it, and as expected, the increasing political polarization that exists within America. And it's important to note that other countries throughout the world are taking notice of this escalating trend, and they're putting together programs to recruit American professionals to their countries, likely to increase their GDP. I think this will be an interesting trend to monitor and see how it changes over the next few years, especially as this becomes a more realistic lifestyle choice.
The new American dream is to leave America. That's the new American dream. You know, I've been following people on TikTok who have moved to other countries, and this one guy I follow, he moved to Thailand 6 years ago, and he said the number one question he used to always get from his friends was, why are you leaving America? And now all he hears from his friends when they write him or call him is, How can I leave America? It's funny how things have changed so much in 6 years. Not funny. Sad. Really sad how things have changed in 6 years. I mean, this is now the third world country. America is a third world country. Isn't that nice? We all now live in a third world country. Sick. And it ain't getting any better. That's for sure. I mean, people move to these other countries because it's safe. You don't got to worry about bang bang every day, you know, if you got kids. I mean, I don't, but I mean, people that have young children today, like sending their kids to school, you say goodbye to them in the morning and it's like, this really could be goodbye. Healthcare, forget about healthcare. Even before these subsidies go away, you know, so many people paying $500 a month, $900 a month, $1,200 a month. Last week, now, everybody getting these letters in the mail, their premiums double, triple, quadruple. I was posting, I think, the other day about this girl. She's running for Congress or like a House seat. I forget what state she's in. Anyway, she just got her Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it was up 546%. Nobody could. Who could pay these premiums? I mean, it's literally, you got to choose between healthcare, your mortgage, your rent, or food. You got to have food. More than likely, you want a roof over your head, so can't do all three. So it's going to be healthcare, just people living without healthcare. God forbid you get hurt, go to the hospital, you're done. Your house that you may have owned will now belong to them. It's crazy. So yeah, sadly, the new American dream is to leave.
I moved out of the US 5 months ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I was living in New York City, and then I accepted a job in Beijing and moved in February. It's been absolutely life-changing, absolutely life-changing. Since I left, I had American blindfolds on, and now being out of America, they're completely removed. I've realized so much being out of the States that the way that Americans live is not normal. The way that politicians are enacting laws and speaking to people and detaining people and shooting people, that's not normal. People don't live like that. And I think people of my generation and the generation below me have gotten so used to absorbing news like that of mass shootings and crime and hate crimes and these crazy laws that are stripping away their rights, that we're just kind of that's just how it is. This is normal. It's not. It's not. I walk around outside alone at night, and I've never once feared for my life here. I've never once experienced hate crime. I've never once witnessed hate crime. I've never once witnessed racism here in China. Some countries are worse than others, and I do know that there's a lot of countries that they have their issues, and there are racist people around the world and hate crime around the world. I do understand. But the way that America is set up, it's kind of like we're conditioned to just learn that this is just the normal way of life. And they're almost enabling it through the laws that they're passing and the rights that they're taking away. Needless to say, I've never been more stress-free living out of the States, saving so much money here. I'm traveling so much more. I'm meeting so many more people. I have the best community around me. I have the best job. I'm able to go to work and then go out for dinner and travel to another country that weekend and come back and work again. I've never been able to experience as much life as I am in these past 6 months than the first 25 years of my life. I can't express, you don't realize it until you leave. You do not realize how much you've missed out and how much you've been just tolerating until you leave. I'm very blessed, and the job that I accepted here helped me move, and they help with my living accommodation. And regardless, there's so many jobs that are hiring English teachers, translators. It's so possible, and it's so easy. I don't like how people are throwing their negativity out and saying, oh well, it's too difficult, it's too expensive. It's not. Do your research. There's ways to do it. I would love to answer any questions that anyone has about moving, or the visa process, or what jobs are out here, or what the price of rent is. Like, I don't know everything because my situation's really specific, but I do know basic stuff here, and I would love to learn more and research more. So if you do have any questions, I would love to answer. I just do want you to know that it's so worth it. It's absolutely so worth it. Leave the country. Leave the country.
Let's be honest. America has become one of the most expensive countries to simply exist in. People aren't leaving because life is tough. Life is tough everywhere. They're leaving because the basic costs in the US have reached levels that just don't make sense anymore. Rent, a one-bedroom apartment in many cities, costs as much as a mortgage used to groceries. Families are paying 20 to 40% more than just a few years ago. Utilities, insurance, internet, transportation, everything has climbed and nothing is slowing down. But the biggest punch in the gut: healthcare. One accident, one illness, one unexpected emergency, and your entire savings can disappear overnight. People see friends in Europe, Asia, or South America living calmer lives, paying half the price and still enjoying decent quality. And they start asking themselves the question nobody in America wants to admit: why am I paying so much and getting so little? This is the moment when people begin to rethink everything: their job, their future, even their country. The truth is simple: a system where people work full-time yet can barely afford food and rent isn't a system people want to stay in.
Americans leaving America to live the American dream. Are we Americans living the American dream? I see that a lot of people are leaving and going to different countries because they feel like the struggle is so bad in America. They indeed feel that we do have a lot of opportunities for education and stuff, but once we make a certain amount of money, it's like you're still only working to pay bills. Like, everything is so expensive, from the cable to the internet, the cars, where you live. And they feel like you can go to Thailand, Belize, all those different places and live a simple life. So what's going on in America? Like, how are things so inexpensive in other countries? The rent is so high here, when they like the rent in those different countries are little as nothing. So y'all tell me, what's going on? How can things be so much different in price? Are we Americans living the American dream? And if not, why not? Like, what we need to do? Y'all leave in the comments and let me know.
I left America 6 months ago and my life is infinitely better. Let's talk about it. First things first, I've talked about this in other videos, but it cost me around $1,000 to leave the States, which is significantly less money than I ever anticipated. And I think it's a really important thing for everyone to be talking about, that it actually costs a lot less than you might think to leave the US. Since moving abroad, these are the things that have improved in my life. First and foremost, my physical health is infinitely better. Why? The food is better. The air quality is better. I'm happier. I'm less stressed out. Medicine and healthcare is way more affordable. Like, we're talking apples and oranges. People are nicer here because they are happier here. It is significantly easier to cultivate community in a place where people are trusting and loving and empathetic and kind. And I cannot stress this enough: my central nervous system is relaxed and calm for the first time in my life.
So Americans don't want to live in America anymore. Let's talk about it. I think it's a very normal feeling right now that people don't want to live here. I mean, the idea of the American dream is just gone, and everyone in my comment section says the American dream now is to leave America. And that seems to be a resounding sentiment all throughout the internet right now. people want to go. People want to go somewhere else. This doesn't feel like it's it for us. This doesn't feel like it's good for us. And by us, I mean anybody. If you're not in the top 10, the top 5% of this country feels like it's not a place where you can make it, because for the most part, it isn't a place that you can make it. The working poor and the working class are struggling just to stay off the streets, and there's no respite to come. There's no support from the government. There's no support from our neighbors because we don't know them. Our families are broken, so we have no one to fall back to. It just feels hopeless for a lot of people. So of course, there's a natural feeling that I want to go find my peace, my happy life, wherever I can. And it doesn't feel like we can have that in America for a lot of us. And that's why you're seeing people all over TikTok, all over YouTube say that they're leaving the country. They want to leave the country and just go. You know, they don't care what the destination is. They just want to go. I think that this is actually something that really hits to the core of our American past, to actually, go forth and find your place in the world. And I don't begrudge anybody, nor should you, who is pursuing that kind of peace in their life.
So Americans, rich and poor, are packing their bags and leaving the United States of America. From the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year, Americans moving to other countries has increased by 90%. That's right, 90%. And so that's almost double where it was last year. And so, folks, people are seeing the craziness and the chaos and the instability and the violence, and they're just leaving. They're just leaving. Folks, let me know why you think this is happening in the comments, and I'd love you guys to give me a follow. Thank you.
You criticize one thing about the United States, and they're like, leave. If you don't like it here, then just leave. I don't think most Americans realize how hard it is to leave the United States legally without risk of being deported back here. Like, it is incredibly difficult, even for you. Like, most of us don't have the mobility to do that. A lot of Americans are more akin to animals trapped in a cage. Like, there is no practical, plausible way for you to leave the United States safely without the chance you're just going to get sent back here. Like, that is what I think is crazy. And it's kind of odd that those people don't question that, because if a lot of people could easily leave the country, they would. And what that leads me to is, what happens if they're wrong and it is an autocracy? I'm just using this for them, not for you guys. We know it's a fucking fascism, autocracy. It's all coming. It's here. It's been here. It's just headed for white people now. Then what are they gonna do? Most of them are working paycheck to paycheck and living in the middle of nowhere. How are you gonna leave the country if you're wrong? I just don't understand the logic behind it. They're all like, don't trust the government, and then like, there they go, trusting the government.
Here's the part most people don't want to admit. It's not just about money. It's about the way life feels in America now. People describe life in the US with words like stressful, chaotic, unsafe, exhausting, isolating. Even people with decent jobs feel like they're constantly on edge. You wake up stressed, you go to work stressed, you come home stressed, and then you repeat the same cycle every day. Meanwhile, countries that used to be considered cheap or less developed are becoming attractive for one simple reason. Life feels more human walkable neighborhoods, slower pace, affordable healthcare, communities where people actually talk to each other. A balance between work and life, something millions of Americans have never truly experienced. People moving to places like Portugal, Mexico, Thailand, Spain, or Costa Rica often say the same thing: I feel like I'm actually living for the first time. Not surviving, not grinding, not drowning in bills, just living. That difference, the feeling of having a life, not just a workload, is pushing people to leave more than any statistic ever could.
My husband is 26 years old and he has a heart condition. And tomorrow he has an appointment that he is refusing to go to. And I'm doing my best to convince him. But the reason why is because we're still paying out of pocket, making payments on his last appointment that was almost a year ago. And we can't afford another $2,400 bill. On top of that, our vehicles are all falling apart. My Chevy has a blown motor. Our little Ranger, which doesn't fit our family, is literally being held together with a shoelace and some zip ties. And our Jeep is also barely being held together. In fact, the passenger or the driver door doesn't close all the way, and we can't afford to fix that. We had to go in again today and use calculators to get groceries. And it's just, that's living in America right now. And it's so frustrating because it's election year, so you're seeing all of the tricks being pulled out of the sleeves to move focus off of where it should be. You're seeing things at rallies that have never been a part of rallies and should never be a part of rallies. These are political rallies. Nobody should be shaking their ass on the screen. And the freaking monkeypox, and it's just, it's all a distraction. And it's like, if you want to know who you should vote for, look at your finances. Ronald Reagan said it. The truth. If you want to look at who you should vote for, whose house are you in right now? And how are you living? I don't know if we can keep living like this. It's getting to be too much. He shouldn't be missing incredibly important doctor's appointments that could literally save his life so that we can afford to live. It wasn't perfect when I was growing up, but I miss what we had. What happened to the American dream? This is like real life American freaking horror story.
You criticize one thing about the United States and they're like, leave. If you don't like it here, then just leave. I don't think most Americans realize how hard it is to leave the United States legally without risk of being deported back here. Like, it is incredibly difficult, even for you. Like, most of us don't have the mobility to do that. A lot of Americans are more akin to animals trapped in a cage. Like, there is no practical, plausible way for you to leave the United States safely without the chance you're just going to get sent back here. Like, that is what I think is crazy. And it's kind of odd that those people don't question that, because if a lot of people could easily leave the country, they would. And what that leads me to is, what happens if they're wrong and it is an autocracy? I'm just using this for them, not for you guys. We know it's a fucking fascism, autocracy. It's all coming. I mean, it's here. It's been here. It's just headed for white people now. Then what are they gonna do? Most of them are working paycheck to paycheck and living in the middle of nowhere. How are you gonna leave the country if you're wrong? I just don't understand the logic behind it. They're all like, don't trust the government, and then like, there they go, trusting the government.
Today's my last day here in my house. Tomorrow I leave for Bali indefinitely, and it just feels like very bittersweet, so surreal. And I truly, like, I love my house. I love my house. This has been my home for the past year and a half, where I've really sought refuge. This has been my haven. And yes, I'm moving to Bali, like, and it's very bittersweet, and it sucks. Like, I just can't live here anymore. My children are here. I don't really speak to my family, but my children live here. They're 14 and 18 years old. Just don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. I have lived here almost 40 years of my life. There's so much more to the world. There's so much more to the world than just this little piece of backyard, this house. There's so much to see, and I don't want to see it only 2 times a year, only 2 weeks a year. I want a vacation. I want to travel for all my life, but just know that there are sacrifices. There are sacrifices that are made, and this is one of them. Having to give up my house yet again, willingly, but having to do this in order to get to what I want. This is the closing of a chapter and the beginning of another one, and it's beautiful. It's bittersweet, but at the same time, it's the bitter part now. It's the bitter part now.
For decades, Americans stayed because they had to. Jobs were local, offices were mandatory. Your entire life was tied to where your employer was based. But then everything changed. When remote work exploded, millions of people realized something they had never seriously considered before. I don't need to live in America to earn an American salary. This single shift opened a door that had been locked for generations. Suddenly, people could move anywhere, and many did. Mexico City, half the rent, better food, walkable lifestyle. Portugal, affordable healthcare, safer streets, calmer life. Thailand, low living costs, friendly communities, warm climate. Spain, work-life balance is actually real. Costa Rica, slower living, nature everywhere, cheaper everything. People discovered they could live in a nicer apartment, pay less, eat healthier, and enjoy life, all while still doing the exact same job. For many, it felt like cheating the system. But it wasn't cheating. It was simply the first time Americans had a choice, a true choice, about where they could live. Remote work didn't just change the economy, it changed people's freedom. And once people realized they could build a better life elsewhere, there was no going back. At the end of the day, people aren't leaving America because they're unpatriotic. They're not leaving because they hate the country. They're leaving because the country they once believed in doesn't feel the same anymore. The truth is painful, but simple. A nation built on opportunity has become unaffordable for the very people who built it. Life feels harder, dreams feel smaller, and the gap between effort and reward keeps getting wider. Millions of Americans are choosing something different, a life with less stress, less chaos, and less financial pressure. A life where you can actually breathe instead of constantly fighting to stay afloat. And whether people agree with it or not, this trend is real. It's growing. And it won't stop unless something fundamentally changes. America still has incredible strengths: innovation, culture, creativity, ambition. But strengths don't mean much when everyday people feel left behind. If the US wants to keep its talent, its workers, its families, it has to rebuild a system where ordinary people can actually live, not just survive. Because nobody leaves home unless home stops feeling like home. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Seriously, your time matters, and the fact that you watched till the end means everything to us. We're pushing hard to reach 2,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps keep this channel alive and motivated. Thank you for supporting, for listening, and for being part of this community. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.